Hello everyone and welcome to the next in our series of daily origami for YouTube. Today we're going to go ahead and continue with our theme of making stuff for our dollhouse, and today we're going to make another variation of a book for our bookcase. This book is a lot more kind of fancy. It has quite a few separate pages here, and you can create a nice cool little spine for the book too. Makes it nice and easy to make, and we're going to be making one this size, which is using a 15 by 15 centimeter piece of paper. But if you want to make a smaller one to fit into the bookcase that we made, these are the books we made yesterday, but this will then fit into our bookcase if you make your paper 10 by 10 centimeters. Then you'll be able to make it small enough to fit inside here. It does get a little tricky as it gets tinier, but it will fit inside your bookcase then, and you can use that. And if you want, you can also use the design we made yesterday so that you can kind of make some variety of different kinds of books here, so you can fill up your bookcase full of books. But like I said, today we're going to use 15 by 15 centimeter paper just so it's a little easier to see. So I'll put these things to the side here. What you want to do is, like I said, start off with a piece of paper here that's square, 15 by 15 centimeter, and I'm just going to start off by folding some creases in my paper. I'm going to go ahead and first fold my paper in half with that color side facing up, and then I'm going to also fold towards that center crease that I just made here, creating a door base. Open all that up, flip it over, and fold it in half. Make sure your creases are going the long way here when you do this. And we're just going to fold everything in half. And then open it up again. And this time I'm going to fold now, creating creases through these lines. So I'm going to take the right edge, fold to the farthest crease here. Turn it around and do the same thing the other way. And then I'm going to take the sides here and fold up towards that first crease. So I'm creating kind of an accordion of creases here. And once you've got that kind of started, then you should be able to kind of pinch up on that mountain and fold it down towards the center, and do the same thing on this side so that you bring all of your edges towards the center and you have this nice kind of accordion crease that leads up to it. Now you should see this nice little center crease here in the middle. We're going to use that as a guide. I'm going to kind of imagine I'm just focusing on this bottom half section of this area here. What I want to do is I'm going to take this bottom part and fold it up about a third of the way, and you can kind of tell if you're doing about a third because the space you fold up should be about the same as up what you see here. You can also test it by just rolling it up and seeing if it's pretty even there. So I'm going to get it lined up there and then make a really good crease here, and then open that area up and flip it over. Now I have this nice intersection of two creases here, the middle and that crease I just made. I'm going to take and create a diagonal crease that goes through here, and I only want to make the crease up here in the top section, but I'm going to intersect right through that middle point so I can kind of start it there. Pull this side up, and I can then use this crease here to line up with the center as I do this to make sure I'm getting it nice at a good angle. Get those lined up there, and then pinch down so I know that my crease is now even. Make a really good crease there. And then I'm going to do the opposite way as well. So again, using that place in the center as a guide and lining up my center creases here. And then you should be able to bring these together, and this is going to serve right here in the middle. These are going to be our pages of our book later. So once you've got those nice creases made, we're going to go ahead and open everything up and look at the white side here. And down at the very bottom I have a crease that I made, and I want to go ahead and make sure I make that real clear and make it a mountain crease. So I'm just going to make sure to fold it over here, try to line it up, make sure it's straight, and get a good crease on it so that we can use it later. Open everything up, and then I have these little triangle sections of creases that run through here. I want to make sure that all of those on the white side here are valley creases. So you can go ahead and make sure everything is going the right way. Some of them already are, but you want to make sure that they all are going the right way here. So just kind of fold them over a little. Don't worry if the creases extend a little beyond where the crease was. I just want to make sure we're getting it real good here. So once we've got all those creases going, then what we're going to do is if I hold my paper and I've got all these natural creases, we're going to use those to our advantage, and we can kind of fold everything up and crinkle it up like in an accordion way. First, I'm just going to start by keeping this part folded down like this, like a ledge. And then I'm going to look at the creases I have here. I should have a valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, mountain, valley, all the way across. And then these little diagonal creases should all be valleys. Starting over here at the side closest to me first, I'm just going to pinch these two together and allow these diagonal creases to create a little crevice here. And I'm just going to gently push in so that this part, the tip of that triangle, becomes a mountain inside there. And then as I do that, I'm just going to let this all lay flat. So I've kind of created like a corner of a box, if you will, right here. And this side here is nice and secure. And then I'm just going to go along and do the next one too. I've got the next set here. I'm going to pinch these two together and then allow this part in the middle here, those two diagonal creases, to come together. Push gently in from the middle here to let all that collapse to create another corner of like a box or a cube. And then I'll do the next one. Again, just pinching here. Working your way up, oops, popped out of my hands, excuse me. Pinching here and then working your way up where those diagonal creases are. Again, push in to try to create a nice little crevice there so that everything comes together. And then you're going to just do the same thing on the very last one. And again, you want to let all of this come out like so. So this is where your pages of your book are, right here. And we're going to just make sure all that is really creased down good, and then we have all this extra over here that we're going to use to twist and wrap around to make the cover of our book. So the next thing I'm going to do is take all this extra over here, and I'm going to roll it down and create a diagonal crease, and essentially I'm bringing this edge even with the edge of the pages of my book, but I don't want it to be flush next to it. I want it to be a little shy of there. So I'm just going to give myself a little bit of space, but you still want to line it up so that that edge is parallel to the edges of your paper. Get a good crease there. Open that up again, and then I'm going to open from the bottom. I've got all these little accordion creases here. I want to separate that right in the middle. And if I look at it from the top, what I want to do is I want to reverse this. So I've got these two sections where I've got two flaps together on each side. The one on the outer side is already a mountain crease, which is what I want it to be. This one here I need to reverse, so I'm just going to reverse that first. So I've kind of got this area flattened out here, and pinch inside so that it's reversed inside completely. Get a good crease on that. So you should have something that looks like this. Then I'm going to take this section and open it up and let it lay flat. So I get this nice long kind of house looking area here. And if I look inside at the very innermost area here, I'm going to open these two sides up, and there's a point where these creases come together at the ends here, right here and right here. And I want to smooth them out and allow all of this. If I open these up, then I'm going to let this smoosh down. Now when you do this, you want to know, of course, that the pages of your book are going to be taller than this edge. Don't worry about that. We just want to smooth out this back edge and allow this to lay down flat. Try to get your pages, your paper to lay as smooth and as flat as you can. So you get this kind of like house shape in the background. Like so. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to do something very similar again on this side. So I can open up these sides, and there's this natural point back here where this edge forms when I push it down. And I'm going to do this side too. And I should be able to then lay all this down and create a nice smooth edge that runs right across the back. And in this case, this should be even with the pages of your book. And really ideally you want to try to get this as flat and smooth as you can. Like so. I'm going to flip it over again. This time I'm not going to open these side pockets. I'm just going to fold it straight down. And when I do, I don't want to be even with this edge. I want to try to be even with the edges of my paper for the pages of my book. And I actually want to be just a tiny bit bigger than that. So you can kind of line it up here and try to see giving yourself really just a tiny little bit of paper up there at the top. You don't want to give too much. We just want to give ourselves just a little bit, couple millimeters there that give a little edge there at the top. Make a good crease along the back there. And then I'm going to take this part down here, and rather than folding it flush with this edge, I'm just going to fold a little bit shy of that. So in order to make this crease, you kind of need to lift this flap up, pull this up, and you can kind of start it out. Just give it a little pinch in the center, and then see by laying this down. See, the way I've done it right now is maybe a little too flush maybe with that edge. I want to give myself just a little bit more room, so I'm just going to pull it back just a tiny bit, and then go ahead and make this crease go straight across. And then when you fold it over, you should get just a tiny little bit, just like we did at the top, that's bigger than the edge there, little couple of millimeters. And then I'm going to turn it around so that that flap I made now is at the top and these edges are right here on the sides. And I've got my center going. And what I'm going to do is take each one of these sides and fold all over, so I'm folding this area in half. I'm going to bring this as close to the inside pages of my book as I can. Create a really good crease here. And then do the same thing on this side too. And get a really good crease here as well. So now I've got the insides of my book started for my cover. What we want to do is we're going to tuck this inside. And this step can be a little tricky, but what you want to do is if we open this up and I look behind this flap, I have this long flap that runs across the back side here. I'm going to lift it up past that crease, let this part stick in for just a second, and then fold it over. And then just let the paper kind of stick up naturally the way it is. Pinch down here at the bottom. You should have this kind of weird paper sticking up. Then look in the back here. I want to treat this like it's like a circle-y, like a kind of a crevice back here. And if you can kind of pinch all this together while you're working, hold down here while you're working. But you'll notice I can kind of see this area inside here where I want to tuck this part in on top. And ideally, I want to be able to smooth all this inside into this corner too. So if you get it started, you should be able, once you get kind of started, it should come together pretty easily. It's just this first step, and I know my hand's in the way, but you see how I've kind of folded that inside this area behind the book. And then it lays flat, so it's kind of looks like it's just tucked back there, like so. Now, I'll do this other side too, so we can kind of watch it again. Again, you're just opening up over here, and I want to get all this tucked behind this area back here. So if I open it enough to go beyond this crease that I just made, get this corner kind of going in here. Let all this be loose, don't worry about it right now. Fold this over, pinch down here at the bottom, and then just focusing at the top up here, I want to remember I've got this nice kind of like pocket area up here that I want to open up. Try to make it as circular as I can so that then I can take this paper and fold it down on that crease so that I get a nice edge to the top of my paper. So you've got this nice part all folded back inside. Then let it all lay flat, smooth out your edges, and that should give you your little book here then with paper in the middle and the binding on the outside. Now in this case, because we have some excess binding, you don't want to just fold it straight in half because that's kind of boring. We want to give ourselves a little bit of a spine here. So when we do that, I'm just going to fold the pages over to the left for a second. And I'm going to create a crease right here, and the easiest way to know how far is to kind of bring this outer edge to the edge of your pages of your book. And I can do that and then get a good crease here. And this part is pretty hard because there's a lot of paper. It takes a little time. It's a little bit of sculpting the paper to do what you want it to do. But I've got one crease here. Then I'm going to do the other side. So I'm going to open it up again and let my paper go over to the side. And I'm going to fold all of this over to the edge of those papers and create a crease here. And get a really good crease there. So you can see how I've kind of created this edge for the spine of my book. Now I want to also add a little valley crease right here in the middle to kind of finish it off and give that nice little pinched look of a book crease for the inside. So you can just use like your nails, or you can use a ruler even too, to just kind of give yourself a nice edge to create a valley on, allowing this to pinch over. I think this way works pretty good because then you can kind of just pinch over the sides a little. You see I've created that crease, but it's still fairly close to the edge so that I don't mess things up any, but I've got a little bit of a crease running here and then the mountain right next to it. And that creates kind of that look of a spine of a book. And I could do this side too, so you just kind of smush over the edge that we made here. And that will give you then that nice kind of spine look, and you can give pinches there as you work. But that should have a nice flat surface here, and then the edges, the pinched edges for the spine and the pages of our book. And that, like I said, is our finished book. And then again, if you're making it the smaller size to fit the pages that we have here, you'll be using that 10 by 10 instead. This is the little smaller version here. But those are our finished book, which is our finished project for today. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.